As an eBay seller, you can't get away from boxes. If you're an everything eBay seller, you really need a lot of boxes. That's one of the drawbacks with being an everything seller is everything ships differently. Everything's a different size. You've got to have a different way to ship things. I've given you a lot of tips on shipping on this channel. Today, I've got a short one, but I have a major warning and a minor warning and some information that I find veteran sellers do not know about the boxes they use every single day. They don't know this fact, and it's so critical as an eBay seller that you know what I'm about to tell you. So let's learn about cardboard boxes. I assume you get boxes everywhere you can. Tell all of your neighbors that you resell, and you'd really appreciate it if they wouldn't throw away their empty clean boxes or their dunnage, if they've got air pillows or bubble wrap, all that stuff. You'd rather not buy more than you have to, but at the same time, you can't store 1,000 boxes. It's best to break them down flat, but then you've got to write the size on each one and have it where you can find it. And there's not an easy way to do it. You just have to do it. It's just part of doing business. If this business were super easy for every person, then every person would do it and they'd make a fortune. And really, there wouldn't be fortunes to be made if everyone did it. The fact that we have to learn a few extra little things to make our profits zing and to really grow our business the way you are on this channel. This is the Ultra Advanced eBay channel. I've been teaching you a lot of things you've never seen before. And I know good and well that if you've watched a few of the videos dating all the way back to the earliest one, you might go, why hasn't anyone ever shown me this before? Well, it's because you haven't been here. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to see, please let me know below. I read every single comment. I answer every single comment. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. It doesn't have to be about this specific video. Just whatever you want to know, just let me know. Now to boxes. So wherever you get your boxes, maybe you order them online from eBay, or maybe you order them from Amazon, or maybe you order them from here on Uline. I like Uline a lot. They've got high quality products and they ship very quickly. Often you get your order next day if you order from Uline. The problem with Uline is they're a little bit expensive. So what you want to do if you place a Uline order is order large quantities and get a huge discount on quantity, but then you've got a large quantity of one size of box. I guess there is an advantage to ordering boxes online though. You get an extra box versus going to a box store and buying boxes. If you buy boxes online, you're going to get the box they came in, and you can use that too. A lot of you are using your $25 eBay store credit, or $50 depending on the size of your store, to apply towards boxes every quarter. That's good to do. If you don't use that credit, it goes away, so you should use it. Here's the truth about box sizes. Most veteran eBayers do not know this. I'm stunned. Actually, I've never found one that knew this before I told them. I've met a lot of eBayers. In the more than a quarter of a century that I've sold fairly heavily on eBay, I've met a lot of them. Anytime boxes come up, I always ask this question. No one seems to know. Whenever you see a box like this, and you see a size like 12 by 6 by 6, are those the inner or the outer dimensions? Are they innies or outies? If you really think about it, you will be able to determine, even for yourself, that must be the internal dimension. Although you probably never thought about it, you probably just always entered 12, 6, 6, whenever you're shipping something in a box labeled 12 by 6 by 6. But that's wrong. Sometimes you probably haven't got in trouble, much if ever, but a 12 by 6 by 6 box, those are the inside dimensions. All boxes are marked with their inside dimensions. Depending on the thickness of the box, you may get another ½ inch or even 3/4 of an inch if it's a very thick box. And that adds to the dimension. That adds to the size of your box. If the wall is ½ an inch thick on a very strong box, you better be adding 1 inch on at least 2 of the sides, or you're going to be possibly underpaying for shipping, and something's going to happen. Either the shipper is going to charge your buyer, they're not going to let your buyer have it until they pay them the difference. Fortunately, that's not done as often anymore, but it is still done. You'll get the box back, or eBay will be told that they need to charge you for more money because you shipped a box that was under-declared and underpaid, and you have to make up for it later. The reason box sizes are interior sizes. Think about this. If I buy a 12 by 6 by 6 box, it needs to be able to hold a 12 by 6 by 6 item. If I have a rectangular item that is exactly 12, 6, 6, it will fit in this box. It will slide right in. There won't be extra room, but it will slide right in because the internal dimensions are 12, 6, 6. If it were the outer dimensions, then box companies would sometimes be in trouble. Probably they would be sued because a lot of people order thousands of boxes and they get a 12 by 6 by 6 box. And if that were the outer dimension, then a 12 by 6 by 6 item would not fit in here. It wouldn't fit. So the dimensions have to be what is the internal size. Now, most of the time, it won't make a difference when you're shipping if you mark the size of the box you're shipping by the dimensions on the box. So in this case, the case you see on the Uline box on the screen, I could enter 1266 most of the time when I'm shipping something in these boxes. And even though it's wider, longer, and deeper than 12 by 6 by 6, most boxes are only probably a lot less than 1/4 of an inch. And so by the time you add on each side an almost 1/4 of an inch, you haven't really added a whole inch. Now, you're always supposed to round up, and if you always round up, you're better off. You'll never be undercharged, but you'll also, it's really not always needed. Most of the time, whenever you're that close on measurements, the post office, even FedEx and UPS, they don't ding you for the little tiny extra. You've gone slightly over 1266, but they really don't do much at all about that if it's just your box sizes. Here's where you can get in trouble though. If it's a heavy duty box, it's going to be thicker, and that may add on all the size together, may add enough where you might be underpaying by putting the box dimensions on the box instead of measuring the thing. There's one other instance where you can get in trouble, and that is you put something in a box that may not be totally fragile, but it wouldn't quite fit in the box. You put it diagonally, you kind of stuffed it down, and the box kind of got like me after a piece of cake. It gets a little bit wider around the middle in that box. And so the box edges, they kind of stick out a bit because I don't know if you can see that or not. I have no idea. See, this is high quality video here. But if you kind of stuck it out a little bit, that box is going to be a little wider. And with the wall of the box, plus the fact that the dimensions were interior to begin with, this box is probably 12 1/8 by 6 1/8 by 6 1/8, something like that. And by the time I squeeze something in there and push out the box a little bit, at least one dimension is almost for sure going to push us over according to the UPS, FedEx, or post office scanners, because they scan for box sizes. They're going to say that box is an inch or two larger, wider, taller than she said it was. And you're going to have to pay for that somehow. Usually eBay will just charge you later because they'll get a notice, as I said, from UPS that says, we need more money for this tracking number, and eBay gives them the money. You can challenge it if you think they were wrong. And I have already shown you a video where you should challenge every single box extra charge that comes later when you mailed something weeks ago, and all of a sudden FedEx says you owe another $11. All of a sudden, the post office especially says you pay another $6. That eBay just gives it to them. You should always challenge those, always. And I've shown you exactly physically why on their conveyor belts, why they often get that wrong. So going forth, just know this. 12 by 6 by 6 boxes are larger than 12 by 6 by 6. If you smash something in there and push them out a little bit, you're in trouble. If it's a real heavy duty box, you might be in trouble just because of the thickness of the walls. And wait, there's more. Tape. This really surprises veteran eBayers. They'll be measuring a box, they'll fill it up, they'll do everything but tape the box, and they'll go over and weigh it. The box weighs 3 pounds, 15 ounces. You're a whole ounce away from another pound. So you go, okay, 3 pounds, 15 ounces, no problem. Start the label, get it printing while you tape up the box. Now the problem is, tape actually can add more than you think. Now sure, small boxes like 12 by 6 by 6, almost never will the tape put you over to the next pound where you're charged more money, where it weighs enough for you to be charged the next pound up. Almost never will tape be that close, but if you're very, very close on the scales and you haven't taped your box yet, if you're 3 pounds, 15.9 ounces, you'd better go ahead and just round that up to the next pound. You better do it. But on larger boxes, and I'm talking about even like 14 by 14 by 14 cubed boxes, even maybe a 12 cubed box, you may have enough tape where it puts you over the weight limit and you might be a couple of ounces away from the next poundage. That's a problem. Now I realize what I'm saying doesn't totally make sense, because if you've got a package going out that's 3 pounds, 15 ounces on UPS, FedEx, or the post office, it's going to ship for 4 pounds anyway. But the problem is, if it is 4 pounds, 1 ounce, it'll ship for 5 pounds. You can be as little as 1/2 of an ounce over the next pound. And if you don't round up all the way up, so if your box after taping it is 4 pounds, 0.01 ounces. The post office says that's a 5 pound box. And if you don't say it's a 5 pound box, you're going to have to pay that sometime. They will get the weight right. They will see 4.01 ounces. You didn't charge enough because you didn't consider this a 5 pound box. That's why tape can matter. Tape is not zero. Tape does weigh something. It weighs virtually nothing. Kind of like tape costs. Every time you buy a bunch of tape, you're thinking, what, tape's gone up again? But really, when you think about it, the cost per foot of tape it's free. I mean, there is a cost there, and it's going up like every month, it seems like. But whenever you get a case of tape, of 36 rolls of tape, the amount per foot of tape is nothing. It's a fraction of a cent. It doesn't register. The cost of tape on most of your boxes is negligible. So is the weight of tape on most boxes like this 12 by 6 by 6 box. The weight of that tape is negligible, but tape can put you over. You'd be surprised that tape can sometimes add like 2 ounces to even a medium to large size box. So I don't suggest you weigh a box, and I don't suggest you measure a box until you've got that thing full and taped and ready to go. And if anything's sticking out a little bit, you'd better add an inch to that dimension. And if you had to add a bunch of tape, you're going to be glad you didn't weigh that box before you finish taping it up, because you're going to underpay if you did. So we've learned 3 things today. Every box is marked for its interior size. You must work accordingly. Now that you know that, there's no excuse. Number 2, most of the time, that little tiny extra size of the cardboard doesn't matter, but you've got to be careful. If you push it out a little bit, or if it's a heavy-duty box, you probably should add another inch to that box size, whatever that dimension is. 3, your tape almost weighs nothing, but it weighs enough where it can put you over the limit. You should always weigh a package. If it's close to a pound, you should, or if it's a ground advantage and it's close to the next 4 ounces, you should always weigh your boxes for mailing labels after you've taped them all up. If you don't, you're going to get caught. Once in a while, you're going to underweigh that thing, and you're not going to pay enough, and someone's going to want their money. If it's the government, they always want their money.